Time now for the voice of the land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Always Positive Jay.
You know, Kevin Stefanski might say that you need to go 1-0 each and every single week, but we here at the Voice of the Land don't always listen to that, especially when we don't have a show leading in to the playoffs. So tonight is our Browns playoff preview right here on the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network. I'm Kevin Arnold, Always Positive Jay. Not feeling so good, but still here, toughing it out, dealing with the flu. He is remote, so we just switched positions from last week to this week. Jay, how you feeling right now? Are you ready to get through this show?
I'm about at 75%, so I can give it a go.
Okay. All right. Well, 75%. Maybe that's better than your 100%. We'll see on the show.
I'm hurt, not injured.
All right. All right. And of course, we have our producer extraordinaire. What Jarvis was to Iron Man, audio is to the Voice of the Land in humanoid form. He is Peter Teller. We talk about him being our AI system because you'll never see his face, but he'll always have everything up and running. And if it gets broken, he's the person to fix it right away. We are brought to you by Vector Technical. Our friends over there, they'll get you in the right job the first time. The right person, the right job the first time. Let me get that tagline right. But I drive past there all the time now. I'm telling you, the jobs are out there. People reach out to Vector Technical. More information on them to come as we go through the show tonight. And we are partnered with LPV Productions. It is the Browns playoff preview show. And why not have a special guest on the show, former defensive tackle for your Cleveland Browns, number 98, Phil Taylor is on the show. Phil, thank you so much for taking some time coming out to the studio to join us here tonight.
Appreciate you having me, man. Appreciate it.
So let's just get right into it. We haven't talked, Jay. We haven't done this show since the Browns have clinched the playoff spot, but I know both of you were there. Phil, you popped up on the TV. Jay, I know your seats are way up top. You like the all 22 view.
Oh, I know where Jay was on TV a couple times in those blimp shots, man.
yeah, we could spot Jay's big head from the from the blimp shots. But just Phil, from your perspective,
brave out here, bro.
Hey, this is what we do, Jay. Like we're good friends for a reason. But Phil, from your perspective, I know you were kind of right there, pretty close to the field. Different view for you from your playing days, but just talk about the atmosphere of the Browns fans.
Let's show where Phil was here.
Okay, there's the picture
right there, man.
All right.
I don't think you can. I don't know if you can get better than that unless you were on the field, Phil.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. It's truly a core memory moment, and it's still surreal to this day. You know, it was just an awesome night and awesome night for the city.
Yeah, I mean, just the atmosphere had to have been, from the moment you walked in, had to have been electric, with everybody knowing what was at stake and knowing the Browns could do it that night. I mean, it had to feel different in that stadium.
Oh yeah, it was a whole different feel. You know, being on the outside looking in, you know, watching the team, and you know, watching the team as a fan, and it was awesome. You know, and it's just, I'm so happy for the city, you know, and the city deserves it. And I'm excited for, you know, what they got going on next.
And I heard a lot of the Browns players saying that same thing. Like, it's not just for us. Like, we love this. It's not just for the coaching staff, but it's also for the city, and the fans deserve it. Like, why is that? Why do you think that permeates so much and resonates so much in that locker room for these Browns players? And even for yourself, why does that resonate so much? Why does this city and these Browns fans resonate so much with you guys?
I mean, if you're a true Browns fan and you're a player, you know the history. So we're starving. We're starving for, you know, a big win, and I feel like this is the year that like it's exciting, man. And this is the year they can get everything done, and they just got to keep playing the way they're playing. And I mean, I don't see nobody beating them if they play the way they're supposed to play every game.
Jay,
there's no juggernaut teams out there I'm afraid of. Like,
no, they're
them. All pretty equal. We've beat the best of the best. Like,
yeah.
Let's go. I ain't afraid of nobody. Bring anybody on.
Exactly.
How important do you think that win in Baltimore was for the confidence of this team? I know that, you know, Deshaun Watson was at the helm that game, but knowing that they are the number one seed in the AFC, they're, you know, everybody's odds-on favorite. San Francisco on the other side, a rematch of the regular season matchup just a couple of weeks ago. but how much confidence do you think that breeds in that locker room with this team that they were able to go on the road, where they struggled on the road this season, but one of the best teams in the NFL, they went on the road and they were able to beat them?
I think it gives them a lot of confidence because they know now that we've beaten all the top. They've beaten all the top teams. So the only team that can really beat them now is themselves. You know what I mean? So I would just I know they're probably just getting focused up and locking in, and they just got to keep doing what they're doing. I mean, don't fix it if it ain't broke. You know what I mean? Don't go into the playoffs trying to run a whole new offense. Just keep pounding. You know what I mean?
Jay, your experience at the game, because I was locked in a studio somewhere cutting all the highlights. So, I could hear a little bit of the stadium and I peeked my head outside, but because I knew it was on fire down there on the lakefront. But Jay, I mean, in your section, I'm sure you've talked to a bunch of Browns fans. You're in the Browns the right Browns Twitter community, more in those circles. Like just from your perspective, what was that night like as a lifelong Browns fan and someone that was brought up that way, and now has gotten to experience so many different iterations of Browns football?
Well, I'm going to bring you back to the last time we clinched going to the playoffs when we played Pittsburgh, and there was 9,000 fans.
Yeah.
I ended up sneaking my way all the way down the dog pound because obviously it wasn't full. And I was like, well, screw this. I'm going down there. So, and that was loud with 9,000 people to have that much excitement. So before this game, that's what got me so pumped, because when I've never heard it like that. Like I heard that stadium's been loud all year, but it was on fire that night.
Oh, yeah.
And it started when they brought out all the players and you heard them going nuts for all of them. And then they announced Myles Garrett. That place, I thought if it had a roof, it would have been blown off.
Oh yeah.
And then when they brought out Nick Chubb, that moment, those moments set the tone for those fans, and they didn't let up. And Phil, you're down below, and that there is a difference. You could feel the noise down below. It was not as much.
Sure. Oh, it was awesome, and I feel like those moments when they got the kid on the guitar and they turned the lights off. It was truly a amazing event, because it was new. I think that was really new because that never happened in a night game before.
Right.
When they had everybody's phones synced up, it was like you were at like a concert or something. It was awesome.
Yeah. And I tried to tune into the halftime thing, but I couldn't get my phone to link, because they said you could tune in from your phone, but I don't know if you had to be at the stadium just to do that, or they allowed you to do it through the app. But I mean, the sights, you could feel the energy coming through the television, through the radio. I don't know if the crowd mics picked up the sound as much as I think the stories after and what you guys are talking about right now, giving me more of the goosebumps than what I heard cutting the highlights. I knew that the crowd was loud, and you always know when announcers have to raise their voice because they have headphones on like we do. When they have to raise their voice because they're starting to not hear very well, you know that it's going. And, you look at stadiums like in Seattle where crowd noise really impacts games. We always knew that this stadium and these fans could do that. It's just needed the product on the field to bring that out.
They had the decimal rating on there, and I think at one point, I want to say the highest I saw it was at 105, maybe 106 or something like that. And that's pretty loud.
Yeah, it definitely was loud. I just never felt the stadium like that. Phil, I've never been to a game outside of Cleveland, so I don't know what other cities are like, but that was unbelievable for me. So,
where was the toughest environment to play for you?
Because of the fans?
Because of the fans, or maybe just
the loudest, maybe
the loudest, or even the toughest. Just the toughest.
That was one of the loudest. That was probably the loudest NFL game I heard, even playing or whatever, other than college football. Usually college football, the atmosphere was a lot better than NFL. But
and I've heard
that game was
a
college atmosphere game. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
one of my favorite things about games like that is just the walking back to your car, and you just got random people coming up screaming like, "We're going to playoffs!" Whatever.
It was awesome.
Everyone's best friends with each other.
It was like a mob of people leaving that thing.
Well, what I didn't like though was, like the television, you don't have the sound of what people are saying, but it looked like the drones of fans leaving when, the losses would mount up and things like that. More of the kind of the downtrodden fans leaving the stadium. Like that's what the walkout looked like. But
Yeah.
I don't think, especially the national media picked it up, I don't think they realize like that's the only way you can get out of the stadium until someone finally connects downtown to the lakefront. Like there's only so many places you can get back to your cars and get out of that stadium.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes and no, but Kevin, most of the time, like even in wins, you'll see fans leaving early. I don't think barely anyone left.
Everybody
like,
stayed.
Oh yeah,
and that to the very end, and then it just like swamped all out at once, and it sucked. And then like traffic wise, it was terrible.
Yeah, and the picture was painted that it was kind of the same walkout as every other game. But the point that people miss, what you were just saying, Jay, is when you do give those overhead views, when people are leaving early because the team is losing, or it's an early season game and people are trying to get off to other things that they're doing on a Sunday, you see pieces of the street still. Like you still see above, you see the gaps in the street, the gaps between the people that you don't see when you're walking in between them.
Yeah.
There was no street, there was no sidewalk, like elbow to elbow.
Oh yeah.
It's just a concert crowd moving in one thing like a glacier.
Like West Third, it was that West Third Street leaving going up.
Yeah,
it was packed. They said there was so many people right there. It showed up on the weather radar.
Did it really? Just like, well, at least people show up on weather radar instead of bugs like we did over the summer.
Oh yeah, terrible.
I got a new sneaky way out of the downtown area where I deal with zero traffic now.
Are you going to reveal that here or during the break?
No, on break.
He's keeping that secret.
I might know it.
All the good stuff happens on break. I didn't even retweet the show tonight just because I think this is just too much fun talking about this stuff. But I mean, just even walking around town, like you feel that energy. Like everybody's always wearing their Browns or their Cavs, their Guardian stuff. Like if it's like they got a day off or a lot of memorabilia you see people wearing throughout but you just walk up and down the streets and you feel, I feel what I was told the 80s were like. And when like Browns teams were good, this town was on fire. Like I am starting to feel that what I was brought up on. I was born in 1991. Like I didn't get a chance to see that. I mean, if you want to blame anybody, blame my parents because they didn't meet soon enough. Like I didn't get born early enough, but I'm now feeling it. And that is like, it kind of gives you goosebumps and like, what this city has wanted. And now they're starting to show you who they truly are.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just don't want the fans that kind of, they don't let themselves get super excited. Get excited. You know, I mean, like don't cut yourself short. Get excited, man. It's the Browns are 11-5 right now. You got a lot of things to be excited. Yeah. Don't
Pamper the now.
Exactly.
And on this show, like Jay, we try to be realistic about things. Like we try not to like overdo the fan element, even though that's what these podcasts are all about. Like we still try to bring a level of professionalism to it. But we said at the beginning of the season, because of what we've been through as fans, like there is still an element that this team needs to prove it. Well, they've done that and then some this season with all the injuries, adversity that this team has been brought through, and Kevin Stefanski has brought this team through, playing 4 quarterbacks, going to be coming up on 5. We'll talk about all of that on the other side of the break. But what this team has been through, like, just let all of that go. Like, realism is you can be excited about this. You're in the dance. Now let's go see what happens when we get there.
Yeah.
And we'll talk later in the show. Like, is it, how much of a disappointment is it if they don't get to a certain spot now, like with this rise of energy? But the energy is right. And this is what we want to feel every single year. And I think it's maybe some fans think, well, like how much can I, I'm all in as a Browns fan, but how much can I dip my toe in the water of like, this is a good team before it's, the rug is pulled out from underneath me. Like just stop doing that. Early in the season, that was, I understood all that. that's done, I think now, Phil.
Oh yeah, you gotta let yourself be happy, man.
Yeah.
They've accomplished a lot.
Jay, have you felt that from other fans too? Like kind of that that let go of like
Even,
waiting
honest
for
to
the
God,
other
like
shoe to
even
drop?
fans I know that are extremely skeptical fans
Mm-hmm.
that aren't they're not even on Twitter. They're like, I know they're getting real reactions from these people, and they turned around, man. Like they're like, no, man, they just overcome stuff and prove me wrong week after week and keep beating teams, and even though guys keep getting injured, they just keep winning. And Phil, I don't want to get ahead and beyond enjoying this season, but I'm going to anyways. So I've been preaching all year about how they keep overcoming this adversity of these injuries and just keep going on and winning and winning. And how it's not only good for this season, but you're watching a winning culture truly being developed right now that they're going to fall back on this season for years to come. And I think it's going to help build sustainable winning here. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's awesome because it brings a different mentality to these rookies coming in. You know, coming into a winning culture, it's a lot different. You know, to coming in when I came into the Browns. You know, it not to knock that we wasn't working hard. It was just different. You know, it was a lot of things different back then than what they have now. But like I said, it brings another mentality to these young guys, and it's what we need in Cleveland. And I'm just excited, man.
Excitement
You don't
is
need that.
I think all five of us, even though you can't see Peter and his son here too, there's five of us a part of the show right now. I think all five of us are in that same mindset. Now, today the Browns did, and Coach Stefanski did talk about the plan for the Bengals game. There's still one regular season game left. I know that we're doing a playoff preview show, but rest versus rust, we're going to talk about that next right here on the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network.
Whether you're looking to hire new talent or start a new career, Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that has helped thousands of job seekers advance in their career with reputable partners throughout Northeastern Ohio. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. With an above-average hire-in rate of 1 in 4 candidates, Vector works hard to connect the right person with the right opportunity the first time. Vector Technical hires for skilled manufacturing and light industrial work and is sure to have a career that you've been looking for. To learn more, visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com.
Welcome back to the Voice Land right here on the Big Play Network. We are joined this week by former Browns defensive tackle Phil Taylor, talking Browns playoff preview. Always Positive Jay alongside, as well as Peter Tellep. I'm Kevin Arnold, and went to break teasing rest versus rust. Coach Stefanski and Pro Bowl honors just got announced. We're going to talk about that here in a second as well. But first off, Coach Stefanski, instead of kind of playing coy, all of that, we don't have the names. We know that Jeff Driscoll is starting, so Flacco is not at least starting the game. Stefanski said some of these players, just based on rules and numbers that we have, are going to have to still dress. They're not necessarily going to be inactive, but they won't start the game. Your reaction to kind of resting guys for this team seems like the right move in terms of how many injuries they dealt with, but you have all this momentum. How would you best balance that, Phil?
This would be a big week. Obviously the playoffs are clinched, so you got that on your side, so you can, you know, if you don't play everybody and lose, okay, we clinched it already. But this is a good week for these guys, the second string, to really get some work in, and you know, so they can be ready. You know, for the playoff. Playoff football is different. I've never been there, but I know it's different from what I've heard from other players that have been there. And I think, you know, resting your starters is good. Get their legs back, but don't let them rest too much. You know what I mean? You don't want to go in that first game, you know, after not doing nothing for a week and a half, 2 weeks. So resting the players is cool for the game, But I think it gives a lot. These, like I said, these young guys some burn and some time and some film. Some of these guys that's on the bubble, they need some film. Maybe going into the new year. So yeah.
Jay, are you at all concerned about loss of momentum by Kevin Stefanski kind of erring on the side of caution for the betterment of his players and his team health wise?
Not at all. I mean, I look at it as teams that get bye weeks at the end, like late in the year, usually it benefits them greatly. It's the numbers have shown that. And I just look at this like last season bye week before the playoffs. And if any team could use the rest, it's us. Like Myles Garrett's still doing great, but I know his shoulders looks like it's still hurting him a little bit. So definitely give him some rest. He can use it. Like all those guys, especially like Joel Bitonio, he could use the rest. I'm sure most of the linemen could use a rest, but
yeah, the second
Russ
string is
Lyle,
going to be the second string. They're going to play. They're going to play most of the snaps. So
I mean, Flacco came off the couch and just tore the league apart. Like Russ smushed. Like I don't care about.
yeah.
I don't know. Bill, tell me if I'm wrong. To me, I don't think it's football is as much. You get much rust as like it's basketball or baseball where you're doing something like a little precision almost. Maybe the quarterback, but not at the other spots. It seems like you're going to do what you're going to do if you have a week off or don't have a week off. Where I think like in baseball, if a batter has a week off, it could throw his swing off. You know what I'm saying? Or a golfer throw his swing off.
That's true. With football, yeah, a week off is not a big thing, because for linemen, we go. It's like a game situation in practice almost every day when we go against the offensive line. So it's like we're still getting that physical, you know what I'm saying? That physical muscle memory that we need. So I don't think, by him sitting the starters is a big deal.
Well, you don't want people to get hurt. That's the thing,
And
we've
that's
already
thing,
clinched. You don't want, God forbid, Flacco goes out there.
Even if he gets fined for it, I'll take the fine.
Yeah, someone rolls up on his ankle or something. There's no need for
Top
it.
guys will not touch that field.
Yeah.
After we already clinched, they're not touching the field.
Yeah, and
they'll suit up. And if need be, if somebody goes down, you know what I'm saying, they you know what I mean? But yeah, they won't touch the field.
Well, so speaking of that, so for like the second string guys going in for the game, I'm assuming that also gives them a lot of benefit. So in the playoffs, if they have to step up,
exactly,
and come in there, they've got a little bit more.
This is it's an insurance week for the front office too. These second string guys that are trying to push, you know what I'm saying, toward being a starter, maybe somewhere else, maybe on the Browns, who knows? But it's an evaluation. Let's see what these guys can do. And see if we need to maybe, get somebody in before the playoffs. Somebody that's on the couch that might be able to, help us out better.
Or like a running back that gets cut from.
I did hear about
Dalvin Cook.
Cook going to, but they say he's not going to go there though. Kansas City.
Oh. Because I saw they were saying the Browns.
I would have took Cook.
Spot.
I would have made before the deadline. I would have made a trade for Dalvin Cook. I think, I don't think I think it would have helped us out a lot with a Jerome Ford and Cook and Pierre Strong. I think that's a good backfield. You know what I mean? Because they're not replacing Chubb, but who knows? I would sign him for a year because Chubb's not going to be ready for the start of next season, even if he even plays next season, to be honest.
Would you have used Cook more than Hunt? Would you want Cook here? Because you just said Pierre Strong.
I forgot about Hunt, but Hunt. I feel like he was underused this year. I felt like after he came back, they didn't use him. But at the same time, it was a different offense than when he was here the last time. Same coach, but I don't know. It's different. You know what I mean? I felt like he was kind of a little step behind. He wasn't running like he used to, but at the same time, he wasn't in there long enough to get going. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He was like a spell back, and not when him and Chubb was, 1A, 1B. You know what I mean? So it was like it's a different thing now. So
And that's where everybody thought it was more going to look like with Ford and Hunt when they brought Hunt in and Chubb went down. But like you said, we haven't really seen that. Now going back to like this rust versus rest. I mean, I'm in agreement with you guys that this team needs a little extra. I know that they're off for 10 days before this game because they got kind of that mini bye by playing on Thursday night heading into week 18. But you have guys like Elijah Moore who are coming back still in the protocol. Obo Okoronkwo was at practice today on a limited basis. He's gotten a bunch of different looks by doctors to see if he could play because everybody was saying that he was going to be out for the rest of the year. So, I mean, those are guys.
if he can play, they will put him in on a limited snap count just to see what he'll do this week.
And to get some of that rust off for a guy like that. But I mean, you may not see Elijah Moore, which is the right move, protecting guys from concussions. I saw it immediately on TV. The conversation came up a lot later, but the way that his arms were moving without his control and things, I mean, that was one of the scarier things that I
think it was a concussion-induced seizure.
Yeah.
Seizure. It's tough. That was the first time I seen somebody have a seizure on the field. So,
and you could see the look in players' eyes. Like it was just
different.
It's
tough. It's tough, but
they were reacting.
Purdy's doing better now. So
yeah. And to be able to be out at practice today, like even on a limited basis, like that's usually kind of those steps at the end of the protocol. And it hasn't even been a week yet. So he's already working through that.
Yeah, but he wouldn't play it. I wouldn't play him this week.
No, but it's important that these guys are getting back out there, getting with their teammates.
Yeah,
to
it's
play
good.
because you need to have as many.
Still keeping that cardio going, know, and I don't know how they're going into it because it was, the hit wasn't as crazy, but the way he hit the ground and what happened after, they want to keep in check. So, I mean, he might be questionable all the way up until the playoff game. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
Yeah. Also, just came down just a few minutes ago. Pro Bowl players were announced. Before we kind of give those names, I'm curious, Phil. Like in the locker room, how much was like Pro Bowl talked about, like that being a big thing, or maybe if you've had a chance to talk to fellow teammates and players in the past, like how much they geared themselves and felt like it was an accomplishment.
Phil's time, they got to all go to Hawaii. Now they're going to Orlando.
Yeah, a lot of stuff changed. Even with the draft, my year was the last year they did it at Radio City Music Hall. I felt like that was historic, for the draft. Now they just move it wherever.
Yeah, they just go wherever. But like
money talks.
Yeah. You got that right, especially in the NFL. I mean, that's the juggernaut of all sports. Like, they have to have at least one thing taking over each month so that they're always a topic of conversation. But how much was it? Do you think players feel like it's an accomplishment to make the Pro Bowl as much as fans kind of talk down on what the Pro Bowl has become these days? Or would you rather have that?
It's still an honor. It's still an honor to make it, but now the Pro Bowl game is BS. I think they should just take it out completely. Well, what they did really, but I think they should do. I said this before. They should do like a practice squad bowl, where you get 2 or 3 of your best players from every practice squad, you put together two teams, and let them go at it, and then the free agencies would be really popping the next offseason.
I mean, guys are going to earn themselves some money.
Cornhole against each other would be better than the Pro Bowl.
You said what?
They could play cornhole against each other, and it'd be better watching than the Pro Bowl.
Oh yeah, because they don't even hit nobody no more.
Yeah,
you see how Sean Taylor used to be. He used to hit the kicker, the punter. You know what I mean?
I think Jalen Ramsey crushed someone.
With the safety of the NFL, they're taking the fun away at the same time.
Yeah, the dodgeball's more entertaining to me than the actual
it's cool. It's
game.
Cool.
I'm not saying it's great.
For the kids.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying there's more competitive nature that comes out in guys in that than this game, because there's just nothing there. Now for the Browns, your Pro Bowl honorees are Joel Bitonio, Amari Cooper, Myles Garrett, David Njoku, and Denzel Ward. The alternates are Corey Bojorquez, Dustin Hopkins, Grant Delpit, Jeremiah Wusu-Koromoa, Ethan Posick, and Wyatt Teller. Don't see MJ Emerson on this list. I feel like MJ at least should have been an alternate, don't you think? Like for the year that guy's had on the outside with Denzel in and out, and Greg kind of Newsome finally starting to come into his own. MJ Emerson has been that lockdown corner for this team this year.
He has, but it's a lie. It's the cornerback position is tough for Pro Bowl, and it's more politics than anything.
Really?
So it's like, yeah, a lot of those top spots are your top name guys, and no matter how the votes go, they're going to be up there.
I mean, in one
Look at
case,
San Francisco, what they did. San Francisco has like 40 players in the Pro Bowl or something this year. Like, I think Brock Purdy was number 1, Christian McCaffrey number 2 in votes, George Kittle number 3 in total votes. I'm like, get the hell out of here. San Francisco's loading the balance.
Hey, I mean,
but that's the first time I've seen that many Browns on the Pro Bowl.
I mean, that's 12 players that are either in the game or at least an alternate that if your team is not the one to go to the final game, like you would be implemented. Now, of course, this year these alternates are probably hoping that they don't have to be called upon because they want that week off. They're expecting to play going forward. What are the realistic expectations for this Browns team though in the playoffs? We'll get to that next, right here on the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network.
Are you struggling to hire the right talent or maybe even find the right career? Vector Technical makes it easy. Since 1992, Vector has provided Ohio employers with a reliable process for hiring and have helped thousands of job seekers advance in their careers. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. We invest time to get to know each client and candidate personally. Vector places people in job opportunities that they are truly excited about. Interested in learning more? Visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com to see a full list of our current job opportunities and to find out what Vector Technical can offer you.
Get your gear at voiceoftheland.com/shop.
Welcome back to the Voice of the Land, our Browns playoff preview right here on the Big Play Network. I'm Kevin Arnold. He is always positive, Jay, on remote, dealing with a little sickness, but still holding strong. What percentage you at right now, Jay?
I think I got up to 82%.
Oh, you're going up, not down. Well, that's good. Well, we'll keep the energy going for the second half of the show. We'll try to get you up to like 90, 95 by the end. Peter Tellep, our producer extraordinaire, is here. And, of course, we are joined the entire show. Can't thank you enough for doing this tonight. He is Phil Taylor, former Browns defensive tackle, 21st overall in the first round, drafted by the Cleveland Browns. And so the Browns now are in the playoffs. And kind of said at the top, Kevin Stefanski's all about going 1-0. How much, and we're actually seeing that resonate. I did want to ask you real quick before we get into expectations of playoffs, Phil. Differences you've seen in coaches where like the message that they're giving you or who they're presenting themselves to be not being genuine versus genuine. Do you feel like Kevin Stefanski has really connected? Is that why guys are saying and acting upon the same thing this year versus maybe the last 2 years, that genuineness is really connecting with the players in this locker room?
Oh yeah. I mean, spending multiple years with, one coach and his system, it makes everything a lot better. And before the season, even in the beginning of part of the season, I would say Stefanski was in the hot seat a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And now, after dealing with all these injuries and stuff, he's wanted to consider us for Coach of the Year. You know what I mean? So
it's to win a game this week and to have 5 starting quarterbacks he's won with.
Yeah,
if you don't win Coach of the Year and you do that, I don't know what's going on over there.
I mean, I've seen the meme going around on Twitter again where the guy's like, smarter than, thinking ahead of people. Like if I win a game with a 5th different quarterback this year, like there's no conversation, trying to win it. Kevin Stefanski's not that guy. But I mean, it just seems like this team really has taken that approach. I mean, Greg Newsome talking on different stations earlier today, like he said, people are trying to get him to give out the secrets and like talk about the playoffs. And he's like,
Just guys are buying in, and it shows that these guys are, are together. They're buying into the goal, and that's to win.
Yeah.
And the first side of the ball that I saw start to buy in first was defense with Schwartz. He got these guys playing in the positions that suit them the best. What you got, JOK and Miles. He lets these guys do what they made it to the NFL. By doing. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing about Coach Schwartz.
And it's been good to see, Jay. I know you feel this way too. JOK kind of taking that next step forward this year after kind of a down second year. Everybody said he was too small. Like, is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? But what did he do best at Notre Dame? Flying around, getting into the gaps, finding the ball, making the tackles. And that's what he's doing this year. No matter what his size is, how much weight people want him to put on or not. Like, Jay, he is one of those guys that just flashes every single game multiple times.
Oh, yeah, totally. And I said it before, dude. He needed tackles, defensive tackles that can come in and beat up these guards and centers so they're not getting out in the second level. Because, JOK is not taking on a guard most likely. He can get around him and stuff, but he's not supposed to. He's supposed to be, like you said, hit these gaps and fly to the ball, and he's doing it better than ever. Dude should be in the Pro Bowl. Like, he's having a hell of a season. He's a kind of an I wouldn't say he's the leader of the defense, but he's an emotional leader of the defense big time this year.
He's definitely one of them. I mean, Anthony Walker's been in and out, unfortunately, dealing with injuries and stuff. And I say JOK has been one of those voices. Taki, we've seen him progress when he was taking flack early on in his career here as a special teams player.
Everyone's progressed, really. Look at Jordan Elliott.
Yeah.
Like, he had an under the radar good season. Like, I did want to ask you about this. I'm going to backtrack. Of these second stringers, who are you looking forward to watching? Like, I know we have a
former Baylor Bear, man.
Is it, what's his name? I can't think of it right now.
Ika.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's who I'm looking forward to, is watching him play.
Yeah, for sure.
I forgot he went to the Baylor too.
Come on, you can't say that to a Baylor Bear that's on the show right now.
Man, I am out of it. I'm playing hurt here.
I know.
I'm back down to 70%.
All right.
We're gonna have to bench him.
Shut him off, Peter. Shut him off. We can't deal with people like that. We need to go 1-0 on this show every single week. We need everybody's maximum effort.
But to what you were saying, Kevin, everyone on the team sounds like the coach now. That's when you know that everyone's buying in, because they all sound like Kevin Stefanski.
To me, the difference is the culture that Stefanski's already set up is the guys would say what he would say, but you didn't see it on the field. You didn't see it being backed up on the field by their effort. Not even their effort, just result-based business that the NFL is. You didn't see that. This year, you see it. You see them say it and then go out there and do it. We always say at the end of the show, Phil, don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah.
Because we've always gone through, and this again goes back to more the beginning of the year. Now we're enjoying all of this. But the beginning of the year, like, we've seen this story before. Everybody's saying the right thing, saying what you want, what everybody else wants to hear. Saying the right things, but not doing the right things. So it comes down to, at that point, you got to go do it instead of just talking about it. I can listen to all these guys talk about it, because guess what? On Sunday, Thursday night, Monday night, whatever it is, I see it. And they're actually about that life. And that's why I see a culture actually being now established, unlike maybe that first year where it was COVID. Stefanski really trying to find that way, trying to traverse COVID, not having guys next to each other, being able to interact as much as they did now. How big was Greenbrier, by the way? Like, if you look at it now, like Greenbrier, the trip to Philadelphia, staying out there in LA. I know that they lost in Denver and LA, but they spent a lot of time together.
Camaraderie, man. Yeah.
How big is that? How big do you feel that is to, take a step away from, the media still is going to follow you. The beat reporters are still going to follow you, but being closed off like that at Greenbrier, or even in LA. The media didn't have as much access until there were practice days. Like just being behind closed doors and just being together. How big is that for a team in general?
It's huge, man, and it gets guys, away from their comfort zone. They're in a new area, new city. They're together. After practice, it's not going home and going to do your own thing. You're here, and we're going to be here, and it's showing that those little things, that Coach Stefanski tweaked this year, starting to pay off.
I mean, I've been listening to Gerard Cherry on ESPN for years now, and he constantly talks about his Patriots teams. When what made them great, it wasn't they didn't have a boatload of Pro Bowlers. Yeah, they had Tom Brady, but he wasn't even Tom Brady quite yet when they won those 3 Super Bowls. What made them great is their camaraderie. They played for each other. It was you're playing for the guy to the left of you and the guy to the right of you, and when you play like that, you were almost unstoppable. And you take that and you compile it with a bunch of confidence, and you got something brewing. Like, look out for this team right now. Like, they've overcome everything. So what else are they going to throw at us? Because now we know what we can do. We've overcome everything. We're playing for each other. It's on, dude. Like you keep saying, I'm just so excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, and I
For
think
sure.
the excitement level just continues to rise as we even just talk about this tonight.
Yeah.
But we also know that the playoffs are a different animal. So they've seen everything. They've overcome a lot of adversity. And everybody, fan, short for fanatic, we all want to talk about and you can kind of see that Lombardi trophy down the line. Like those are real visions I know fans are having. What are the realistic expectations for this team in the playoffs? Is it endless, or is there a certain point where they get past division round, or they get past wild card or whatever, and now we're adding icing to the cake type situation?
They can go as far as they want. Like I said earlier, the only team that's going to really beat them is them. You know what I mean? I feel like they go out there and play mistake-free football and just play balls to the wall. I don't think nobody can beat them.
Jay?
I'm totally in agreement. Like I said, we've beaten everybody that's the so-called superpower number one in the power rankings. Guess what? This is a different year than I've ever seen. I got 20 different injured quarterbacks, it feels like, across the league. It's the year of the backups, and we got the best damn one going right now. We have the hottest quarterback going in the NFL. It's like our defense is balling out. Like, who are you really afraid of? We beat the Ravens. Like, I ain't afraid of them.
There really is no team you should be afraid of.
Yeah,
because
No.
again, what they've had to endure this season with the injuries, adversity, and still being able to win. I mean, there's a reason why young guys like Ronnie Hickman can come in and get a pick six, or can play just as good as, Juan Thornhill or whoever is missing in the back end, because of going all the way back to Greenbrier, that camaraderie and the defense kind of coming together first. And now the offense has been slowly coming together. They've had to piece things together, and now there's been more consistency week to week to week with Flacco. So there really is no one to be afraid of. And
basically, Tom Brady is retired.
Right. And
you look back in time, that dude was in almost every Super Bowl, I feel like.
And the reason why I can realistically say, not just as a fan, like wanting to go to a Super Bowl and wanting to get off that list of one of the only 4 teams to never go to one, and why I think that is, as long as you're in the dance, you got a chance type mentality this team can take, is as much as now the praise is starting to rise back up for this team, this defense, what they're doing, what Flacco is doing, as much as that's starting to come back up, not just from a local standpoint, but a national standpoint, I think Jim Schwartz, Kevin Stefanski, this coaching staff caught, especially the defense's attention, but the entire team's attention when they started off real hot as a defense. They were on pace for historic type numbers, especially in this new offense favorable NFL that we see. They started smelling themselves, I think, a little bit, and the attention was caught. They learned their lesson, and now that focus really is on the task at hand.
Yeah.
In Berea, the task at hand is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh yeah.
And that's all they want to talk about until they're past that game and the matchups come out. They know who they're facing and win. They're not going to talk about the AFC South and whoever's going to come out of there. This team won't do that. And I think that is why it feels like a different atmosphere than just like, oh, like I'm a fan, I'm always hopeful. And we're going to the playoffs and sure, we could go to the Super Bowl. Like I've said that I've only had a chance to talk about this team in the playoffs twice in my lifetime. At least my knowledgeable lifetime, 91 to 95. I know they went in 1994, but 3 years old. Like I ain't know anything that was going on then. Only seen it twice. Like this feels different.
Yeah.
I know you feel it, Phil. I know, in that stadium, you probably felt it. Jay, I know you feel it.
I mean, they're playing complimentary football on top of all what we said. And what beats that? Like if you're beating teams on all three levels of the game, you're going to beat anybody and everybody, dude. So
the only question mark I have is how long is Dustin Hopkins going to be out?
And even the guy who came in, he's not too shabby. He's doing the job.
Patterson,
he came from Detroit.
Yeah. I mean, I was told to cut the highlights, like the first couple extra points. When he missed the second one, but after that, I mean, it just.
He's used to playing in the dome. Then he went from playing outside on a lake that's windy. Yeah,
like it's going to take a little bit of time, even getting down there and stuff. I do love that throughout this year, though, whoever they've had, like Bojorquez, Hopkins, whoever they had kicking, they've gone to the stadium, not in Berea. Like you can speak to it. How different is that element?
It's a lot different because you don't know what weather you're going to get at the stadium until you're at the stadium, especially in Cleveland. So it's, yeah, I've seen it. Like I said, we had Phil most of my career in Cleveland. So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I'm 10 minutes away from that stadium, and the weather's usually different from my house down there.
Yeah.
So when I get down there, like I got my raincoat and rain jacket 90% of the time stuffed in my jacket. I'm ready for any kind of weather because it can change at any given moment off that lake.
Hey,
it is an unforgiving lake.
There's a reason why that T-shirt by GV Artwork is so apropos, so perfect, where it has the 7-day forecast and it's got all 4 seasons. You could experience all 4 seasons within one day here in Northeast Ohio.
Oh yeah.
Now Phil is from Maryland and he stuck around in Northeast Ohio. We're gonna kind of dig in why he did that and have a little bit of fun because we found out that we're all kind of nerds when we were talking before the show. We'll talk about all of that. One final segment to go right here on the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network.
Are you looking for a career in manufacturing? Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that has partnered with some of the biggest and the best companies throughout Northeastern Ohio. The recruiters at Vector Technical will coach you through the entire job process and will help you land an opportunity that you are truly excited about. Vector does not add any additional fees and offers benefits as well as free online skills training through Penn Foster. To learn more, visit www.vectortechnicalinc.com and make sure to check out our job board to see a full list of our current opportunities and apply.
Welcome back one final time on this Wednesday evening. We are now in 2024. A belated Happy New Year to everyone out there that it tunes into our show. Of course, get the full audio replay, Google, Spotify up on your podcast, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Voice of the Land Podcast. I'm Kevin Arnold. He is always Positive J. Peter Tulip alongside as well. And we are joined by Phil Taylor. This is the Browns playoff preview show, but we always like to have fun in our final segment. Phil, we like try to come up with fun topics, or we always talk before the show. We told you, like we have all these conversations and we don't save it for the show. So we always try to save at least one fun conversation so people kind of get to see us and not always maybe succinct, professional, talking about sports and everything. You are we're from Northeast Ohio. We know why we love Cleveland because that's the way we were brought up. You're from Maryland. You were drafted here, but you're still here. What is it about this city as like someone that was once an outsider now here? Why does this city resonate with so many players? We see it, Cavs, Guardians, Browns, players that stay here or come back here very often. What is it like from your perspective? What is it about this area?
It's the love of the city, man. It's the fans, the love that they pour into their teams. It's like, it's a big family. It's like I didn't want to leave. You know what I mean? Even though I played it with two other teams after leaving Cleveland, my house was still here, my family's still here. This is where I started my family, and Cleveland's my second home. So yeah, it's just awesome. Just I'm a little on the outskirts, but I'm still here. But yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and Northeast Ohio, it tends to stretch different ways. Like if you want to be a part of Northeast Ohio, like we'll stretch those limits for you.
It reaches all the way to Akron. I don't know if you knew this.
Well, yeah. Well, see, what I consider Northeast Ohio, I don't know if there's like ever a debate about this, but if I'm watching the weather or whatever, and they're showing the map of the area, like I'm gonna consider however far they stretch, whatever piece of Ohio they pull out for Northeast Ohio. Yeah. That's what I consider.
It's about Cedar Point to the Pennsylvania border.
Yeah,
down to Akron.
Maybe if you're out of town and someone asks where you're from, you can be like, I'm from Parma, Ohio. They'll be like, where the hell is that? You're gonna say I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, because that's what you affiliate yourself with.
Yeah, because there's not as many cities that stand out to people when you're talking about it, and so I've always I could say I'm from Wickliffe, Ohio. All right, what is that? I've only ever heard of Wickliffe, Kentucky. Oh, you've actually heard of Wickliffe, Kentucky? I didn't even know there was a Wickliffe, Kentucky until I tried to search for my own city on Google and found out Kentucky came up first. Like I'm gonna tell people all the time. Go ahead. I like you said, Jay. I'm gonna say if it's someone that doesn't really know me or whatever, I'm going to say I'm from Cleveland. Like I'm 15 minutes east of downtown. I drive into downtown for work every single day. I get to see the skyline that I was brought up to absolutely love, the city that I was brought up to love. I get to work there. Like I pinch myself every day because I'm from here, but to hear it from someone that did come kind of from the outside and now has established a family and established a life here in Ohio, in Northeast Ohio, like,
Cleveland's different.
Yeah.
Me and Ricky Smith are talking about this, and it's Cleveland. It's like Asgard and stuff. It's not a place, it's a people. And we really do look out for each other. Like Cleveland is there's a reason there's 10 different t-shirt stores that sell Cleveland t-shirts and all excel. Like we love Cleveland. We love our people. And like I said, it's more of a people than a place, and it always has been.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, are there other fan bases that come up with songs about players that they, latch on to absolutely love? I mean, I don't know if you've heard it. There's a Flacco Fever song.
I think I might have not heard the whole thing, but I probably strolled past.
Yeah. So there's that. There's people making songs about Flacco and the Browns, and whether it's a good year or a bad year, like fans are willing to they do that. Do other places do that? Like, what did you experience in Washington? And
it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same,
right?
Yeah, Denver. It was Denver, then Washington, but yeah, it wasn't the same.
Yeah, and like Denver is it's a tough place to play because the altitude. And they tend to pack that stadium. When the Browns played there, that stadium was packed. Like, what is the difference in that dynamic? Like, is it talked about daily? Are fans like that rabid about it, or can you really feel that different energy between Cleveland and some of these other places?
It's just, it's unmatchable. You can't match it, really. After I left Cleveland and I was in Denver for a short stint, and it was different because I'm in a new area, but I didn't play in the stadium there, but in Washington, even though that was my home, like literally my home city, like my hometown team, and it still couldn't match Cleveland.
That's crazy. Like, because we all talk about home, like home is where your heart is and everything. I mean, my sister is one of those people that did move away from Ohio and from Cleveland. Like, she found home in Seattle, all the way across the country. Like, my home was here. Like, you're gonna find what resonates more. Like, you got to play actually at home for Washington. and it still resonates more here. Like I don't know what more can tell you about this city,
Yeah.
but it is a beautiful thing. And with a playoff atmosphere, I know we don't get a home playoff game. Like we can only dream and imagine what that would look like. Like what you guys saw on that Thursday night, you'd have to think that'd be ramped up. Like,
Yeah, for sure. I hope we get one. I hope we can sneak one this year, home playoff game.
yeah, I mean, it's just how it shakes out. And doesn't it, after the wild card, doesn't it like, do they reseed? Like, how does all that? I'm like so confused on how all that works because it's not like it's not like a bracket,
like
right?
record. And,
Yeah.
Just let it happen. Like, don't try to,
Yeah, for
someone
sure.
explained it on Twitter, and I looked at it, and I'm like, I'm even more confused now. But
I mean,
sure.
it's like, and these are things that we haven't gotten to break down enough. And even back in 2020, like it felt different because we couldn't be around it. We had to live through TV screens and streaming devices to try to catch that playoff atmosphere. I mean, to start with Heinz Field, and it was Heinz Field at that time. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce what that field is now. It's a future look to me anyways, but like to have that stadium silent the whole time, you hear guys like the guys on the sideline like cheering and all that type of stuff. Like that just was weird. Like we get the full experience this year, and even with our team on the road, Browns fans are going to travel.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Jay, you going?
Oh, probably not on the road. Unless you're driving, Kevin, I'm not going. But
I'm working.
So earlier this summer, I got to have a conversation with Greg Newsome, and he was talking about how he had never been to Cleveland before. I think he was drafted or whatever, and he heard all these things about Cleveland or whatever. And he goes, he got here, and he's like, it was just so much different than what you hear, and it's so much better. When you got drafted by Cleveland, what were you hearing about the city before you got here?
I didn't know. It was more of I'm just here to embrace it, to see. But it was always like when I got here, it was love. You know what I mean? Everybody, dapping me up, wherever we go, and Joe Hayden, he kind of, took me under his wing my first year here. He was already the king of the city, so it just made it that much better.
And you see a guy like that. I mean, I know he ended up playing for the Steelers. I mean, it was just based on that's the business of football. Like he took advantage of an opportunity. I don't think anyone in Cleveland ever faults him, but he comes back and still gets that love because, again, when this city falls in love with you, or
no Flacco, look at what's going on here.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
I used to hate that man.
Who was it? I think it was CJ Mosley came up to him after the game. They're former teammates with the Jets, but also with the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what are these? Can you believe that these MFers are cheering you right now? How crazy is this? And to Flacco's credit, he's tried to do stuff like this, like podcasts and stuff, and he knows his lane. Like his lane is playing football and then being dad when he gets home. And like nothing, you can have all the acronyms, all the praise for him you want, unflappable, Flacco, come up with all the turn of phrase you want. But he really just takes it step by step, and he's embracing it.
Oh yeah,
step by step.
For
and
sure.
I think that's why he ended up being the right guy at the right time for this team.
Perfect.
I don't know how other NFL teams left him at home, but that's part of the business of football that we don't get to hear. We're not privy to every single conversation that happens over the phone and agents and all that. But it's the right guy at the right time for this team, and he's kind of an extension of Stefanski without them having much of a relationship.
Yeah, it's awesome, man, and like we keep saying, I'm excited. It's definitely going to be one for the memory books.
The excitement level is there, and Phil, thank you so much for coming in. I can't thank you enough. Hopefully we can have you on again.
Oh yeah,
at some point.
Sure.
Jay,
hopefully I'll be in studio next time.
Yeah, you get well though, Jay. I know we give each other a hard time all the time, but in all honesty, get well because we did get into a new year, but I've seen too much on social media of some people that have unexpectedly, or people close to me that have unexpectedly lost family members even within the last couple of days, and that's never easy over the holiday time and New Year time. So thoughts and prayers out to all those people, and we are thankful for what we get to do on a daily basis, and that's for sure. So for Phil Taylor, for Always Positive Jay, for Peter Tellep, and even Jacob Tellep listening, and his son, I'm Kevin Arnold, reminding all of you sports fans out there, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. Yeah, as Marvel fans, but in life in general, we love you all 3,000. Jay?
Don't talk about it, be about it.
And as our late, great friend Mike Allen always used to say, live life, all gas, no brakes. We'll catch you in 2 weeks. Yes, we're off next week. We got some other stuff going on. Cleveland Crunch Soccer we'll be talking about, but we'll hopefully talking about a long Browns playoff run. That'll do it tonight for the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network.